PGA Tour had Caitlin Clark play, and the LPGA, like, fans, well, the event was taken over by the ominous crowd that made sure to go get angry at everything Caitlin Clark did and everything Caitlin Clark does and was ever going to do, and made it that she was the problem and not the solution.
The WNBA is on fire right now, and it all sparked when the LPGA pulled off a genius move. They brought in Caitlin Clark, one of women's basketball's brightest young stars, for a special golf event. The result? A massive, electric crowd turned up, and suddenly women's golf gained a whole new wave of excited fans. Total game changer.
The LPGA, you can see when it came to them that they were happy that Caitlin Clark was there. They knew exactly the value that Caitlin Clark brought.
But here's where things get wild. While the golf world embraced Clark with open arms, the WNBA hasn't exactly been rolling out the red carpet for her rise to stardom. Is it just jealousy, or something much deeper? This brewing tension could reshape women's sports entirely. Meanwhile, the LPGA wasted no time recognizing her value, openly celebrating her presence and the energy she brought to the game.
To the whole event, they saw how important it was that new fans were getting involved in golf, especially women's golf.
Let me lay it out for you. Inviting Caitlin Clark was a genius move by the LPGA. Fans of all ages showed up, not just for golf, but to see Clark in action. Her star power is undeniable, and the LPGA instantly recognized she's more than just a celebrity. She's a magnet. Clark pulled in brand new audiences, especially younger fans who might never have considered women's golf before. They didn't just welcome her, they celebrated her, knowing she's a true game changer for their sport.
Because we know in the WNBA, when it came to Caitlin Clark, it was a lot of like, we don't need you and we were good before and we don't like your fans and this, that, and...
But here's the twist. While the LPGA gave Clark a warm embrace, the WNBA's response has been far less welcoming. And the big question is, why? Instead of celebrating the massive boost she could bring, some in the league see her as competition for the spotlight. There's this sense that Clark is stealing attention from established stars, with critics claiming the hype around her overshadows the progress they've worked so hard for. But think about it. Doesn't that mindset completely miss the bigger picture? If women's sports are going to thrive, wouldn't it make sense to rally behind a star like Caitlin, who's drawing in a whole new wave of fans?
Like, they did everything they could to sabotage their own league. And yeah, it backfired. For me anyway, I think it's hard to argue that it didn't completely backfire for them, because Caitlin Clark is more popular than ever.
What really makes this story fascinating is the LPGA's reaction. The energy at their event was off the charts. You could feel the crowd knew they were part of something special, not just a typical golf tournament. Fans showed up early just to catch Clark and even stayed long after, soaking in the excitement. This wasn't just a one-off moment. It was proof of a growing interest that could lift women's sports to new heights. That LPGA stars like Nelly Carter praised Clark as a breath of fresh air, celebrating the way she brought in a brand new audience. They saw her as an ally, not a threat, and they weren't shy about embracing the opportunity she created. But in sharp contrast, the WNBA has taken a much more defensive stance. Instead of leveraging her popularity, some players and supporters treat her massive following like it's a problem, almost as if her rise threatens the league's established order. That attitude doesn't just seem short-sighted. It could actually hold the league back at a pivotal moment. By closing themselves off, the WNBA risks alienating the very fans who are hungry for fresh energy and bigger stories. While the LPGA threw their arms wide open, the WNBA comes across as cautious, even protective of an exclusive club, rather than building an inclusive platform for all women's sports fans. And by sidelining someone with Clark's reach, they are in danger of looking completely out of step with what today's audience wants. Here's the kicker. Clark isn't trying to overshadow anyone. She's been vocal about her respect for the WNBA and her passion for women's sports as a whole. She unites fans, promotes athletes across different leagues, and radiates authenticity, the exact qualities fans crave. Imagine if the WNBA had embraced that instead of resisting it. They could have boosted ticket sales, grown their fan base, and dramatically expanded their visibility. Instead, Their hesitation might be costing them the chance to ride the wave of momentum Caitlin Clark has already created. Instead of embracing Clark, the WNBA's response has felt cautious, almost dismissive. And that hesitation could turn into one of the league's biggest missed opportunities. By failing to welcome Clark as an ally, they've created tension that's now spilling into the public eye, potentially pushing away the very fans they are hoping to attract. The contrast with the LPGA couldn't be clearer. They saw Clark's presence as a golden opportunity, a chance to bring in fresh audiences and expand the sport. They understood something vital: women's sports, which often struggle for visibility, grow stronger through unity and cross-league support. For the LPGA, it didn't matter where the fans came from. What mattered was that new people were excited about their game. And by working with Clark instead of against her, they set themselves up for long-term growth. Meanwhile, the WNBA seems to view her popularity as a threat rather than an asset. Instead of capitalizing on her cross-sport appeal, they've clung to the status quo, a risky move in today's fast-changing sports world. The LPGA's success with Clark should be a blueprint for others. Adaptability is the key to survival. Here's the reality. Fans today crave collaboration, energy, and unity across sports. And in women's sports especially, the struggles are shared by all leagues. That's why Clark's influence is so powerful. She doesn't just bring star power, she brings connection. The LPGA embraced that, and now they are reaping the rewards. If more leagues follow their lead, women's sports as a whole could flourish like never before. But if the WNBA keeps resisting, they risk stalling their own growth and watching other leagues capitalize on the momentum they turned away. This isn't just about one player or one league. It's about the future of women's sports as a united force. And if the WNBA doesn't shift its approach soon, they may find themselves left behind while others surge ahead with the star power they chose to overlook. Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise has exposed a deep divide in women's sports. On one side, the LPGA showed vision and adaptability, embracing her with open arms. On the other, the WNBA's guarded response feels defensive, almost protective of its inner circle. And that friction is shocking, especially at a time when women's sports could gain so much from unity and shared promotion. Clark isn't just a star athlete, she's a true advocate for all women's sports. Her reach goes beyond basketball, inspiring young girls everywhere to step into the game, whatever the sport may be. The WNBA had the perfect chance to align itself with her story, to ride her momentum and boost its visibility. Instead, their hesitation has created an image of exclusivity that could backfire, leaving fans questioning why the league isn't more welcoming. Her charisma, her magnetism, and her ability to draw massive crowds, these are priceless assets for any sport. The LPGA understood that instantly. They didn't care about exclusivity, they cared about growth. They saw Clark not just as an athlete, but as a relatable personality who could inject new energy into their game. And it worked. The fans didn't just show up for golf. They showed up for the story, for the excitement, for the chance to be part of something new. That's the insight the LPGA displayed, while the WNBA clung to caution. Fans have already made their voices clear. They'll support Clark no matter where she plays. They crave unity, collaboration, and leagues that celebrate one another, not compete for control. The LPGA's partnership with Clark sent a powerful message. They are ready to grow, to welcome new fans, and to embrace the spotlight she brings. Meanwhile, the WNBA risks stalling its own growth by holding back. In the end, the difference couldn't be clearer. While the LPGA embraces adaptability as the key to the future, the WNBA risks falling behind by clinging to the past.